with Radical Cup North America. My name is Eric Miller, along with Tom Drewer. Tom, good morning again. Second practice session. Pretty uneventful morning so far, but these Radical cars kind of dialing things in, ready for qualifying and race one today.
Absolutely. This is the final time that they'll be on circuit. And for those that are joining us around the world on the live stream, we're riding on board at the moment with Josh Holtz and getting some fantastic pictures through the GPX camera system. But that's right, these drivers have one more session to dial things in, to work things out for what will be an exciting qualifying session, 4 classes and 4 championships on the line. The championship points really heating up after 2 races, one at Sebring, one at Sonoma. And the top 3 in the Platinum class, Robert Rossi, Wayne Williams, Chip Roma. And Rossi, whilst he has got around about 45 points, he could quickly lose that if Wayne Williams has a strong weekend this weekend. Chip Roma sitting only 3 points behind Wayne Williams, so that's extremely tight in the Platinum class featuring those SR10 machines. In the Gold class, the drivers that are over 30 in the SR3 1500s, it's Chris Hoon that sits on top at 263 points. Again, about 40 points ahead of Dennis Kelly, who's been impressive so far in that class for Group A, and David Mason, who doesn't sit too far behind Kelly for the top 3. In Pro 1500, the young guns, and it's Jonas Axbo, who's been the star of the show so far. He sits again around about 40 points ahead, but Luke Kendall, coming off the back of 2 races in Europe, we'll wait and see what he can do this weekend with the likes of Matt Roma. Also impressive. Jack Yang, another one to watch in that class and right up there in the points. And then Pro 1340, it's been a solid run so far for the young Canadian Declan Dionorine from Ricebeck. He leads by just under 20 points from Evan Wolf. Mike D'Ambrose will come back at them hard, no doubt, this weekend. Mike D'Ambrose Sr. has been the star of the show in Pro 1340. But this is just the final session. Drivers will be told by their teams to keep things clean at the moment. It's just to try and perhaps put the dial in the setup in terms of the race pace. Of course, it's one thing to do an outright lap, a 1 lap around here in qualifying, but then 3 40-minute races will follow, with the first one being later this afternoon. And that's a completely different test for driver and machine, and of course the engineers. In fact, talking to Bobby Thompson, one of the driver coaches, he was out yesterday. He said that was really the key to this circuit, is not just an outright pace, but having a car that will go the distance over 40 minutes.
Talked a little bit about difference in driver classes, of course, this morning. Looking at situationally, a couple of different classes. We've got obviously Pro 1340, Pro 1500. What are the differences kind of within this class structure that you have here in Radical Cup North America for those new race fans?
So the Platinum class features the SR10 machines, 430 brake horsepower. It's a turbocharged car. That class is also reserved for drivers over 30. So typically drivers that have done a number of years of Radical Cup competition, stepping up to those high horsepower cars. And then we have the Gold class, which is the 1500cc SR3 cars, again for drivers over 30. We've got a red flag now out on circuit, so we'll wait and see what has caused that. And then we're into the Pro classes, Pro 1500 with the SR3 1500 and then also the Pro 1340s with a 1340cc SR3 car. So that has a little less horsepower than the 1500s. But at the end of the day, typically in the pro classes we have younger drivers looking to make a mark. And we've got a big mark through the carousel at the moment. You can see on screen those tyre marks and a car in the gravel trap. So that's Mike Anzaldi, who has been ultra quick so far this weekend. In fact, Mike saying yesterday that he was feeling very happy with himself, with the car, enjoying his weekend. In fact, the demon tweak so far for Mike, although maybe he's taken too much liquid out of the body, is that he's had a sauna delivered to his rental house, and Dave Tweedley and Mike Anzaldi have been spending the evenings sauntering away, no doubt enjoying, telling old war stories and different racing stories. But at the moment, Mike Anzaldi in the gravel trap.
Announcer's curse once again. Talked about it was a relatively incident-free first practice session, and right away we end up with a red flag to start practice 2 here on this Fast Friday. Road America safety team on station, but that's really an odd spot to go around. It looks like the car swapped ends coming through kind of the center apex or second apex entry to 10. So that's it's kind of an odd spot. But there's a really good look at the elevation change that not a lot of people understand about the carousel here at Road America. Is turn 9 is at about the same level as that bottom row of campers to the right. With the flags there. And so you have a very tremendous drop in elevation change from 9 to 10. The racetrack does have a little bit of camber on it, but the way that you have to kind of apply the throttle and steering input to that to the car, it feels like it's off camber. You have a lot of tremendous extra load on that left rear because you're kind of going down and away.
It really does. That's actually amazing because I've never noticed the elevation change, and that explains absolutely what it feels like around the carousel. It feels relatively horrible when you're behind the wheel and trying to squeeze that loud pedal down to the floor. So the drivers just in pit lane, Evan Wolf just handing back the water bottle, and Evan Wolf, one to watch certainly in the 1340s. He's been a strong competitor. Crown Racing out of Arizona, very professional outfit too, running LMP3 cars, and everyone ready to get back out on the racetrack with just over 20 minutes remaining. Mike Anzaldi has been pulled out of the gravel trap, and it looks as though they're going to try and refire that car.
Well, it's never a good idea to get buried axle deep in the gravel trap, but the gravel's there for that specific reason. As much as it is a corner, it is a very high-speed corner here at Road America.
Of course, leads on to that famous kink, and then the all-important, very twisty back straightaway down into Canada corner. These SR10 machines getting up to around about 170 miles an hour down into Canada corner. Unbelievable speeds the Radical cars carry around Road America, and fantastic to see a grid of 30-odd cars out here competing this weekend. Wayne Williams finds himself on top of the chart at the moment. He is our reigning champion in the Platinum class. Has had a rough start of the year, really. In fact, both at Sebring and at Sonoma. Found himself in the wall during the first practice sessions. It's been a bit of a calmer weekend so far for Wayne Williams. It's been his teammate, Chip Roma, who's had a couple of issues early on. As you can see, things pretty hot here. The air temperature 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity relatively high. We've had plenty of precipitation, but luckily it is beautiful sunny skies here around Elkhart Lake. And it looks like we will get a little bit more weather this evening, but so far so good for today. So we should get going back very, very quickly. Jonas Axpo, as quick as so far in Pro 1500. I'm really, really excited to see what Luke Kendall will do this weekend. Luke is impressed in Radical Cup Europe. He's really come of age this year. A rookie last year, driving for Primal Racing out of Georgia, and now with the International Valor Racing outfit, as all the cars trundle out of pit lane and down into turn one. And Wayne Williams looking racy already, immediately onto the racing line. There's Luke Kendall in the 54 machine. The 32 of Jonas Axpo, his main rival for the championship. So it's almost like race conditions at the moment as everyone's jockeying for position. Important to get some space. It's a long circuit, but it's easy to get held up by an out-of-class car. Multi-class racing in Radical Cup really sets these competitors up for what may lay ahead, whether it's in sports cars and going off to IMSA competition, SRO, or of course over to Le Mans. We mentioned earlier today that 5 Radical alumni competed in that French Classic on the weekend. It's also the 20th anniversary since Radical competed for the first time at Le Mans with its SR9 machine. And fantastic bit of history. If you don't know much about that, Radical built a LMP2 car, the SR9. It was typically powered by a Judd engine and AER engines. Campaigned for about 6 years at Le Mans. Finished in the top 5, if my memory is correct, twice on debut and then in its final appearance. It was a very, very impressive machine, and in fact it won a lot of accolades within the paddock and also in the media as well. So here we are with Chip Romer, I think that was, leading the pack and using all the grasscrete. This is going to be the story of the weekend, I think. The exit of turn 14 changed forever with the addition of the grasscrete and drivers deciding they can use all and more. And you can see how much dirt's been kicked up on the exit already.
We talked about this in the earlier session as well, but you give them some pavement or extra pavement, they're going to try to use it. And we've seen that with turn 14. That's been really the trouble spot with some of our latter open wheel divisions here this weekend at the National Park of Speed. One of the things to kind of keep in mind here, I know this is a practice session, Tom, but we talk about qualifying being thusly important. They're setting qualifying times for race 1, but an outlap here is about 5 minutes to get a timed lap in. So these qualifying sessions are going to be thusly important, or this qualifying session later this afternoon going to be thusly important just simply because of get your banker lap early and then try to get a flying lap. But having the conscious effort to try to keep space between yourselves and give each other some clean racetrack for that qualifying session as well coming up.
It's going to be crucial. Of course, you can also get a big toe down the front straightaway, the back straightaway. As you mentioned, though, the key will not be getting held up into the corners. And when you think of a long corner like the carousel, the multi-class racing element, it would be so easy to get stuck behind, say, a Pro 1340 when you're in the Platinum class or a 1500, and that would be the lap ruined. And you've got to watch for the red flags as well. So, yeah, as you mentioned, if it goes red and then all of a sudden you're trundling out of pit lane, long out lap before you even start a flyer, critical to bank one early in qualifying around Road America because you never know what's in store. And getting some fantastic timing and scoring information on the live stream, we've got the splits happening with Wayne Williams, David Albon, Chip Romer. And Romer about 4/10 slower in Sector 3 than Wayne Williams. David Albon, we're waiting to see what he can do in the 119 machine. He was a little slower in Sector 2 than both Wayne Williams and Chip Romer, but it's getting racy at the top of the timing chart and in the Platinum class, and the similar story in Pro 1500 as well, with Jonas Axpo now. He's still quickest, but Matt Romer and Josh Holtz are rocketing up the order. So what can Jack Yang do? Luke Kendall, I think, is the dark horse, as I keep mentioning, after all of that expertise and just extra experience learnt in Europe over the last couple of weekends at Spa and then at Paul Ricard. Sam McDougall seems to be impressive whenever Sam joins the championship. And we've got the splits coming up for Matt Romer, Josh Holtz right now. Sam McDougall. So again, they're very evenly matched over the Sector 1. All three drivers, 139.3, and Sam McDougall just 2/10 behind. But you can see how competitive this class is. And again, drivers using all that grasscrete. So it's changed the racetrack for this year, there's no doubt about that. I expect we'll see some new lap records because of it. Drivers able to carry a bit more speed. Former IndyCar driver Charlie Kimball in race control, alerting the Radical Cup drivers that track limits will not be enforced. But of course, if you find yourself off track and outside of that white line, you're going to have to give way if there's someone to your inside and is still on the racing surface. So that will play a role later today in race 1. But for now, we're just trying to wait and see the pecking order as we head into the qualifying session. Radical Cup getting more track time around Road America this weekend than any other championship. It's quite remarkable. These guys are going to be absolutely worn out come Sunday night. And speaking of Sunday night, make sure you do stick around. There's no point getting stuck out in the traffic out on the freeway. After the IndyCar race, of course, and all the celebrations, Radical Cup will be on circuit for the final race, and that is always spectacular when there's a pit stop involved.
It usually ends up being one of the best races of the weekend as well, because it is a little bit longer, and that race on Sunday afternoon, it's just kind of a nice slow jam into starting to pack up the camper on Sunday afternoon. But it's been a great race the last couple of years, and there is a chance for some excitement in that race usually.
Absolutely. And just watching the timing here with Mike D'Ambrose has set a fantastic first sector, a 40.4, much faster than Evan Wolf and Declan Dionorine. So D'Ambrose, whilst he doesn't compete in the championship all season long, Mike D'Ambrose Jr. has come out all guns blazing. And speaking of guns, we mentioned it earlier, he's got a radical tattoo. It's the first one I've ever seen in my life on the left bicep. So absolute diehard lover of these race cars and putting them to full effect at the moment. We'll see what his Sector 2 time is like. In fact, it's just come away from the screen, but certainly at the moment, Junior sits second quickest. It's D'Ambrose Senior who is quickest in that class. So in terms of lap times, we're looking at 5s again for Steve Jenks. And that's sort of what we saw in the morning session, 2:05s for the Platinum class cars. really hasn't been matched at all so far, has he? Wayne Williams a second behind, almost, or 7/10 of a second if we want to be accurate. So David Albon in the mix. Perhaps some of these drivers not using fresh rubber in this final session, just gaining a little bit more track time. Maybe just focusing on their race setups at the moment, as we have a big spin on the exit of 14 and another one to the inside, and this could get a bit hairy. So we've got, that's the Tiger Beetle car, that's Jonas Axpo, who finds himself in the middle of the racetrack just before the pit entry, and drivers are going to have to be a little careful here. So he's right in the middle of the circuit, and luckily there is a lane either side as he gets back going and around, and it has remained green.
That's where you have the corner marshals waving vigorously.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well,
that's a blind corner, to be fair,
and
in turn 14.
Yeah, it's always worth pointing that out. In fact, it's, you know, as a driver, the corner marshals are your only communication. Sure, you get radio from the teams, but the corner marshals, particularly at Road America, do such a fantastic job of indicating what may lay ahead. And, you know, the more vigorous that flag is waving, the more extreme, you know, the situation is going to be around the next bend. So it is a critical component to the communication protocol between the flagger and the driver.
And I have a lot of race fans that ask me occasionally, you know, just in that how effective those flag marshals can be when the cars are moving as fast as they are. But in reality, it's an odd way to describe it, but very simply, going that fast regularly, your brain kind of treats it like you're going 80 miles an hour down the freeway. There are certain things that you can see, and it feels like time slows down for that moment when you see it. So quick reaction, quick hands, it in reality sometimes feels like it is almost in slow motion when things happen, because your brain is moving so much faster than you think. But that situation coming around 14, and maybe we'll get lucky with an onboard today at some point of coming through some of these corners. Obviously, driver's eye view right here going down the front stretch.
Yeah, into turn one, Evan Wolf turns in with a fair bit of tiller, and it didn't work out for him. He was very aggressive on that turn in a big slide, and having to correct on the exit. Now down into turn three. Hopefully calmer on the entry, because you don't want to upset the car. And
a bit tight of your line through three there.
Yeah, that was a lot better. But turn one, wow, that was aggressive on the wheel. So Evan Wolf very attacking this racetrack, and he would have lost a little bit of time. He sits fourth, I think, in the gold class in terms of the pace at the moment, but trying to find some more time in this final practice session. And
you see how rough the rumble strips are just past exit at 6 there, now into Hurry Downs as well.
So we'll see if he uses the Grasscrete on the exit here. We'll be at the karting centre tomorrow. That's just on the inside of the circuit here as he comes around the carousel, and no doubt we're going to lose the onboard there as it gets disrupted by the trees.
But to the point, I mean, you see how low you really truly sit in these Radical Cup race cars. But there are situations in corners like turn 14, turn 5, turn 6, where they are blind 90-degree corners to you as a driver. So those corner marshals making that, kind of finishing that point of how important it is in that situation to be ever hyper vigilant with that flag condition.
And coming up through here out of turn 12 through these S's is absolutely tremendous in a downforce car. That sets you up for this final corner. And again, the driver's using everything and more than the racetrack as they try and optimize this long straightaway. It gives you a chance to take a breather, Just check the gauges, collect your thoughts, reset for another lap. Of course, you're sailing down into turn 1. You don't want to look at the speedo. You don't want to scare yourself with the top speed of the car. Just focus on the entry to turn 1. Optimize the exit. It's a short shoot down into 3, but already you're setting up the long run down into 5, and it's critical that you carry the momentum all the way through 1, through 3. Then again, you've got an opportunity just to take a breather, reset, look in the mirrors, make sure that no one's going to pop as you head down into turn 5. Gear yourself up and really grit your teeth as you jump on the binders and brake and start a myriad of downshifts, probably second gear into turn 5, then start pulling third as you run over that rumble strip on the outside. And into 6, it's slightly more than 90 degrees. It feels horrible as you start to exit that corner because you're always running out of track and wondering if you could carry that little bit more momentum or whether you've just given a little bit of time up. And then back around to the carousel. We mentioned before how much, and you can see just from this shot here how much the elevation changes. The car seems to be falling away from you. It almost feels off camber as you try and bury the right foot. The car is scrubbing speed. You're trying to maintain or even increase the momentum as you slingshot out of the carousel through the famous kink with everything just a little bit tense as you get through that corner and then barrel down into turn 12. It's a wild ride around here at Road America, truly one of the greatest tracks in the world. Absolutely spectacular. And in a downforce car, as we ride on board with Chip Romer, it feels fantastic. Around here you can see him just working at the wheel, trying to feel the grip. It's almost like doing a skid pad, because your constant duration or constant radius.
But you get a good feel of speed, and certainly, point and shoot where Chip's kind of looking to make a pass here into Canada corner, but you see him already looking ahead. And most drivers, your eyes will track where you're going to go. So when you're on the highway, if you're looking right at the license plate of the vehicle in front of you, you're aimed right at the license plate of that vehicle. But a lot of race car drivers with traffic like this, they're already tracking in some cases 300-400 meters down the racetrack, and their peripheral vision is difficult to manage. That's why you sometimes see contact at corner exit or center apex, because you're not necessarily looking off your left front corner. You're looking well beyond your right front corner, especially in turn 14.
You could see how much Chip Romer was getting held up then by Jonas Axpo. Not because Jonas is going slowly. He is one of the top front runners in the Pro 1500 class, but just because of the difference in the cars. Chip Romer, with all the horsepower of the SR10, extremely quick going into Canada corner. He had a great run up through the last couple of corners as well into 14, but then Jonas carried the momentum around turn 14. They had a continued altercation, if you will, for the track space, and of course if you're going into qualifying, that could be the difference between your fast lap that puts it on pole or tumbling down the order. And I think that's what it's going to be exciting to see as we head into qualifying, is how these drivers find the space that you mentioned, and then can they get lucky? Can they get the run together? So it's under a minute remaining in this session. The final moment of relative calm in Radical Cup racing, because next it's qualifying and then race 1 here at Road America. It's a huge day of action from the stunning scenery that is Elkhart Lake. And Radical Cup is going to put on a show. The timing chart, you can see the top 5 in the Platinum class, all line astern in terms of fast lap times. Then it's the top 5 in Pro 1500. This is going to be an epic battle in just over an hour when we go qualifying. Chris Hoon is on top of the gold class. Interestingly, it's Dave Mason and newcomer Ross Wolf, who's third fastest in that class as the checkered flag flies. So that's impressive.
The checkered flag is out here on the session. Final laps will be completed here at start-finish. Radical Cup using the traditional start-finish stripe as the timing line. Coming up in the next few sessions, the timing line will actually move to the alternate start-finish, which is located just prior to turn 14.
And we do this really because of where we're paddocked down in turn 14, it's easy for us to get off at turn 5. So if you are looking to stretch your legs, come down to the Radical paddock, have a walk through and check out all of these wonderful teams, the machines, the drivers. There's actually also a stunning RXC on display down there, a green carbon closed cockpit RXC with 700 horsepower under the hood, thanks to a V6 twin turbo Ford EcoBoost engine. Well, there we have the results. So it's Steve Jenks who's quickest with a 2:05.3 in the platinum class. The likes of Chip Romer, Robert Rossi with some work to do. Rossi, of course, in the championship lead. But Wayne Williams sitting second quickest at the moment. And as we mentioned, it's Luke Kendall who's quickest. We're moving to gold, so it's Chris Hoon who's quickest in that class. No surprise, the points leader. David Mason, though, very impressive. Our newcomers, Ross Wolf and Lucian Pancia, both for Didi Autosports, very, very quick this weekend. And Ross was saying it would be his teammate would be the faster one, but it's Ross who's done the job at the moment. Mike Anzaldi, of course, who we saw in the gravel trap, a newcomer in Omar Balkazoon in the timing charts as well. Pro 1500, it's Luke Kendall who's quickest. So now Luke shows his stripes, and Jack Yang makes it a Valor 1-2. Jonas Axpo, the points leader, third quickest, with a little bit of work to do if he wants to catch the likes of Kendall. 6/10 behind. Matt Romer in the mix, as is Sam McDougall. Sam's been in the mix all weekend so far. It will be interesting though, Josh Holtz, Valen Venkatesh, don't count them out. That one is going to be a ripper, that class. And in Pro 1340, it's the D'Ambrose affair. It's Junior, though, that's on top of the charts in the final practice session. Mike D'Ambrose Jr. with a 2:15.9 leads his old man. Evan Wolf, third quickest for Crown Concepts, and young Nico Balkazoon leading the young guns in that class from Declan Dionorine, who, of course, leads the points in the championship.
It's going to be a qualifying session later this morning, or later first thing this afternoon at 12:20 for this Radical Cup North America. Tom, thanks for doing practice again. We'll see you in just a little over an hour's time for we go qualifying here for Radical Cup North America at America's National Park of Speed, Road America.